Hey, what's up? Kalen here. In this video, I wanted to talk about selling your agency. I recently, I don't know very much about selling an agency, to be quite honest, but I recently was approached by one or two people that were interested. So I sort of began the process of putting feelers out, learning a little bit about it, and I think now I have maybe five companies that are interested in acquiring an agency or that have responded. Now, who knows exactly how serious they are, but I have enterprise. I think I have at least two enterprise solution partners that are interested, and some fairly interesting companies. So yeah, so it's a weird thing because I sort of stumbled into it with the Commerce Hero thing because I'm basically in the business of connecting people within the Magento community, and so it's a similar thing where when somebody's looking to sell, they need to be connected to a buyer basically, and so yeah, I have two people that have expressed interest, and I've made some intros. Nothing's closed yet or anything, but if it's something you're thinking about, I just thought I'd do a quick video on it because not everybody's that familiar with what the process is and all that kind of stuff. I also had my business acquired, so I went through that process a little bit. Now, an agency, sort of by its nature, is a different business model from like what my business was, which was like a SaaS app, and so if you look research online, you'll find information on the way valuation works. So valuation is the name of the game, is how much money you're going to get, right, which is what everybody wants to know. And so there's a lot of research you can do around that. I'm not an expert on agency valuations. The things that I'm looking at, people are talking about something maybe in the range of like 2 to 3x of a multiple on profits. So you're probably not looking at like these Silicon Valley valuations of companies where they're getting 20x on revenue, right? So that might be somewhere in the range, and with any acquisition, the key is to find a really strategic acquisition, right? Where the buyer is, the buyer sees a lot of potential for how they're going to leverage the agency once they buy it, so that so the more of a strategic acquisition, the higher the multiple. That's just a general rule. And so, what else? Yeah, so then I looked into it a little bit, and I guess a standard like finder's fee is like 3%. So I was like, hey, I guess I could charge you 3% if it ends up selling. And the people I talked to were like, okay, that sounds reasonable. So I came up with that. And then I guess what else is there to say? If somebody would acquire an agency, they're going to want you to stick around for a little bit, to transition things around, to transition things out. So if you're prepared for that, and then they'd want to structure the payments generally, so there's some cash up front and there's some that's paid out over time. So the extent to which you can have payments, you're okay with payments being made over time and maybe performance guarantees, because the last thing somebody wants is they acquire an agency and then everything goes to hell, right? So people generally want to have performance guarantees in there so that everybody wants the business to continue to grow. So and also, like, people are there's some people who maybe are looking to sell because things are going downhill with their agency or like plateauing. And that's going to be less attractive to a buyer, or if the buyer's going to want to buy at a discount, right? So buyers are more interested in things going in the upwardly direction, right? So so if things are going well, that'll make sense. And then it's just sort of figuring out kind of what your pitch is, what the value is to potential agency that would acquire you, or whatever holding company might acquire you, and then just kind of communicating that. So I felt like I had more things to say on the topic, but nothing's coming to mind right now. If I think of anything else, I will do another video. I guess the other thing I'll say is that, like, the post-acquisition process is always a little complicated and tricky. I mean, you could do a whole video on that. So you want to be prepared for that, and if it's a really good relationship, that's always ideal. So anyways, hopefully there was maybe something interesting in here. Have any questions, feel free to hit me up. And then the other thing is, I also do know, this is like the most disorganized video I've ever. I also do know personally at least one or two people who have had their agencies acquired. So I could also reach out to them for feedback on the specifics of it, and probably if you had any questions, I could probably bounce the questions off of them and things like that. So yeah, let